Welcome back to the Zion Experience. This is episode 25, kind of a special episode. We're here at Terry College of Business with two of Zion's interns. Introduce yourselves. What's your name? What do you do at Zion?
My name's Jake Scharff. If you've heard Jake being mentioned behind the scenes in the other episodes, that's me. One of my main roles is to run the podcast. So it's exciting to get to be on an episode, get to share in the fun that way this time.
My name is Amelia Zweizig. I am a general management intern here at Zion. And I've never been on a podcast before. It's my first one. So very excited to be here.
Yeah, and I'm Jacob McMillan, robotic systems engineer at Zion. And I used to be an intern, a marketing intern as well. So the podcast used to be my baby. So now it's coming back as a host. It's kind of full circle. What we're going to start about is just kind of share your experiences in Terry, and then how kind of you got connected with Zion. How did you find out about it, and what made you want to come intern with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a double majoring in supply chain management and management information systems here at Terry, and I sort of got connected with Zion through the supply chain advisory board. I know Jacob, you remember as well. This year I'm the board's vice president, and so Zion is a corporate member on our board. And the first time I heard about Zion was when they came and spoke at our fall corporate meeting a couple of years ago. I believe it was Jim and Drew who did a whole presentation on what Zion is, what Zion does, sort of the robotics industry, all of the new technologies that they see on a day-to-day basis. And that was my first experience with Zion, but then actually getting to work with Jacob at the Masters and get to hear about his experience at Zion is what made me interested in it. So when the opportunity came available at the beginning of this year, I reached out and wanted to be a part of the team. So I knew it was a great place to work and just wanted to join in the fun.
Awesome. And I think yours started with kind of Zion speaking somewhere as well, right?
Yeah, mine did. I'm also a management and MIS intern or major. And I found this internship through Drew, Justine, and Jacob coming to speak in my lessons in leadership class with Marty Parker. And they just gave a whole presentation on what Zion is, what they do, what they're all about. And I was just really interested in the company right off the bat. I think I asked a good 4 or 5 questions, and I might have been the only one asking questions that day. So, I was just really intrigued in the company. And after their presentation, I went up to Drew, talked to him, got his business card, reached out a couple weeks later, just interested if they had any positions available. And that is how I ended up here.
Awesome. And I guess because y'all are both supply chain MIS majors, but y'all have really never met each other before Zion. Zion was the kind of the first.
No,
correct.
So random.
Which is insane.
How big it is.
But I guess I could talk about kind of like what path you took through. Like, did you start in supply chain? Did you start in MIS? Like, what made you choose supply chain and stuff?
I actually started in MIS and then I added supply chain because, fun fact, I'm graduating a year early. So I got really stressed out my freshman year of college when they told me, oh, hey, you're going to be graduating in like December of 2023. And I was a freshman in 2021. So I was like, oh no, that's too soon, too early. So then I added supply chain because I had taken a management class and I'd really enjoyed it. I thought it was really interesting. And then I added the emphasis in supply chain just because, I don't know, I didn't really know what I was looking to do. And it just kind of fell into my lap. And then it ended up being kind of a perfect fit. And I really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So my story is a little similar. I started out just MIS as well, thinking that was what I wanted to do. And then not many people know this. I actually left UGA for a little bit of time. I went to the Naval Academy for a couple semesters. That was sort of the dream that I had coming out of high school where I wanted to go. And so after my freshman year at UGA, I transferred and had left and went to the Naval Academy. But once I was there, was there for a little bit and just decided that it wasn't the best fit for me personally. So made the decision to come back to UGA. And that's actually when I added the supply chain management majors. And I did it because I heard about the supply chain advisory board. And so I knew that was something that I wanted to be a part of. And it sounded like a really cool group of people. So I didn't really know much about supply chain or about the major itself, but knew that I thought it'd be a really good opportunity. And so I added it as a second major and just sort of jumped head first into wanting to be a part of the board. And it's ended up being probably the coolest thing that I've done here at UGA and one of the most rewarding experiences that I've had. So it was really, really exciting.
Yeah, I did completely different track. I came in as finance and then switched to supply chain and joined the board. And that's how I Marty Parker was actually the reason that it wasn't the reason I came supply chain, but was a major part in it. Because I interned him. That was my first internship was with Marty Parker, which you ended up doing the same internship, which is kind of funny. But yeah, so let's talk about a little bit about your internships at Zion. Kind of what's something that you found really rewarding so far at your experience at Zion?
Probably just the inclusivity of everything. Like I feel really included in all the projects that are going on. Like I feel really comfortable being able to ask like, hey, like, can I sit in on this meeting and listen to what you guys are talking about, and just like kind of learning through observing and what you guys are doing and what Drew does every day. And I found that just to be really like nice to be included in everything. And I feel like a lot of internships, there's like a lot of regulations around everything, and like there's a lot of things that you can't be a part of because you don't have like certain clearance or certain requirements. And I haven't felt that way at all as Zion. And I feel like it's been a really like inclusive learning environment where I've just been able to take on so many new things and just learn so much from so many really unique people.
Yeah, absolutely. I would just have to echo that. I think that the team at Zion it's really second to none. You can't find a work environment like that anywhere else. And I think what I've found most rewarding is that, I feel like I've really been trusted to do my job. Like when I'm given a task, it's not a meaningless task, and it's not just just go get coffee or make these copies. It's something that's meaningful and something that, the team at Zion has trusted me to get done and help out with. And I found that to be really cool. I think the biggest project, if you want to call it that I've worked on was helping plan Modex when we all went to Modex back in March. And so it felt like a really daunting task at first. Like, hey, here's all these spreadsheets here. You got to set up all these dinners. You got to set up all these breakfasts, reach out to customers, reach out to partners. Let's figure out what we're doing, create some swag bags to give to everyone. So it really just felt like a lot. But as, working on that for a couple months, it was rewarding to, finally get to go to the customer dinner and get to see everyone and get to, finally meet some of the team in person that I hadn't met because they were in the Kentucky offices. So it was really cool to feel that payoff and feel like, I put in all this hard work. I was trusted to make these decisions. Working with Jim on picking restaurants, he ultimately said, yeah, you pick one that you think fits best for our team and our environment. You know what we're about, what the environment and the culture we like to, cultivate. And so he sort of just trusted me, said, go pick one that you feel like works the best. And so, I feel like that to me felt like a lot. It's maybe we're meeting a new customer, meeting a new partner, and, obviously the environment you do that in has a big impact on whether or not they stay with Zion. And so it was cool to see it all pay off and it all play out so well and turn out to be a good event. So I was excited to be a part of the Modex team and get to be a part of that experience.
Yeah, I think y'all both made like great points. I know a lot of people are like, oh, people talk about their company, oh, my culture is so great in my company, blah, blah, blah. We're like, oh, that's such a cliche statement. But I think at Zion, it really like speaks volume that you can ask anyone on the team and they truly believe the culture here is great. Like I fully believe I can go ask anyone on the team for help and they'll help me there, And especially as an intern, when I first came on, it's very much autonomy. They give you a task and they expect you to do it. And it's not, hey, checking up on you, hey, did you do your task?
Exactly.
And I think that's what a lot of people love, is because you can come in and you can learn a lot, is because they're trusting you with that work. And so I think you'll both make great points there. How are you able to apply some of the stuff you learned at Zion into the classroom? Did you see some of the stuff in your class that, hey, you came back to work and be like, oh, hey, because I remember when I took project management, I'm working at Zion this time, so I'm seeing SOWs, I'm seeing these project plans, and I'm going back to class and I'm like, hey, I already learned that, And so what are some of those experiences that you saw with your, stuff you saw at Zion that you could apply in your classroom?
Yeah, I think that project management is definitely one of those biggest classes. I know we both took the same class, and it's getting to sort of think back on it now and seeing all the practices that are in place at Zion, knowing that, like, yeah, I learned this in the classroom. It's cool to actually see it implemented, because that's one thing that feel like helps me learn is you can learn all these abstract ideas all day long, but if you never implement them and you never put them in place, it's never really gonna sink in. So that's been the coolest part for me about Zion is to see, to go to class in the morning, then I come back, go to Zion in the afternoon and see like, well, this is really what I just did, right? Like I just worked on, scheduling in project management class. And now I'm building out this schedule for all of our podcasts going forward. I'm reaching out to different partners and different customers to ask them to be on the show. And, we just had a whole conversation about, this is how you're able to, reach out to someone professionally. This is how you're able to, to work with someone from a different company to schedule, appointments and things like that. And so it's cool to see that in action. And then on top of that, getting the opportunities on the supply chain advisory board I feel like I've learned a lot from that as well, to see that I can sort of pour into my Zion internship to learn from. And what was really cool is we just got back a couple weeks ago from working the Masters tournament with Marty and the supply chain advisory board. And what was really cool was sitting in, the project meetings at the Masters, bringing up points from, hey, I did this at Zion. Like, why don't we do this? Or, they have this process problem and be like, well, we talked about this at work. Why don't we try to implement this solution and this idea? And so that was really cool for me, was to be able to just sort of all my worlds coming together, if you will, getting to see, everything that I've learned in the classroom and getting to apply it outside the classroom.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to echo the project management class really like being applied to Zion and being able to see, like, Justine shared a bunch of documents with me the other day and I was looking through them and I was like, yeah, this looks so familiar. I know I've seen this before. I know I've learned about this before. So being able to like see it in action is a really cool, unique experience. Something specifically that I've been working on in my internship are SOP documents, which is something I learned about in my HR management class that I took the previous semester. So now being able to like actually put one together and like learn about all the pieces and parts and the wordage and verbiage of everything that you're like putting into this standard operating procedure document that people will hopefully be able to use for years after I've finished writing it. It's when I finally finish writing it, it'll be really cool, and I'm really excited to see how that turns out. And it's been really interesting to be able to apply what I learned in class about that to what I do at Zion, and then so on and so forth with Zion in my classwork.
Yeah, no, I think those SOPs are going to be huge, because I remember I had done internships where I came in and there was nothing. No training, nothing. And then when I first came into Zion, there wasn't really training. It was kind of figuring it out as you go. And even new employees, what you'll see with Zion is when we hire someone, a lot of people get to adapt and they don't throw on the project first day. And so they're able to look at these SOPs, figure out what we're doing. And I think that's what creates kind of that close-knit team, is because we all trust in each other and be able to look at those SOPs and learn what's going on, so you don't have to, feel like you're scared to do something on your own. So yeah, it's exciting.
Absolutely.
All right, so we'll go into another question. I guess going full time, what are you most excited for, and what are you like scared of? Kind of leaving college, so because it's a big jump from college to full time.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yes. You want to answer first? You want me to go?
Yeah, I can go first. I think something I'm most excited about is the lack of group projects. I'm really excited to like be on a team and work on a project, but have that be like the only thing me and my team are working on for a while. Like in school, it's really difficult to do group projects, especially when you're taking 5 or 6 classes and you have 5 or 6 group projects to work on with 5 or 6 people on a team, and you're trying to reach out to all of them, coordinate different days to work on things. You're only in class for like an hour each day. So it's been really difficult, like trying to coordinate all of that and work on all of that. And I think it's really helped me develop my like time management skills. So I will give group projects that one thing, but being able to work full time and just like focus all of my energy on one project and know I have people supporting me working on the same project that I can go to and ask questions and that I can rely on to also help me get it completed is something I'm really, really excited about.
Awesome. Yeah, I think what's most exciting for me is the chance to like to almost have full autonomy. I know that we talked about how as an intern, we have a lot of autonomy, and it's way different than any other internship that I've had. But it's exciting. Like what I'm excited for is to have, the time to fully utilize that autonomy, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
To get to really jump into a project and see, all the different ins and outs, as opposed to, just having to basically sit at the surface level when you're only working, 10, 15 hours a week. It's really hard to see all the different steps of a project. You're really only focused on your one area. And so I'm excited to sort of be able to step in and play a bigger role and try to expand on everything that I've been doing in my internship, but get to do it on a bigger scale, I guess, if you will. This is what's exciting.
Yeah, you definitely get, of course you have the autonomy, but you get to dive deeper into these projects. You're actually getting, bigger tasks per se. You're one of the main people in the project, so it's really exciting to see. And like time management comes in play there because we have work-life balance here at Zion, so it's not like you're working until 9 p.m. So
Right.
So it's like being able to time manage those days to work with people, especially because some of our partners are across the world.
Yeah.
So we're with the Adverb in India, and so sometimes, hey, we might have a meeting at 5, 6 p.m., but that's 6 a.m. over there. So it's, adapting, working with those people, having that time management is definitely helpful. I guess one big thing that I wish I did coming out of college, you have your goals, you have your mind of like, okay, this is where I want to be in 10 years, or this is where I want to be. Do you have any goals right now coming out of college of like, hey, this is what I want to do in 3 years? Hey, this is what do you see like what you want to do at Zion so far, or anything like that?
So I feel like that's the $1 million question, right? That everyone asks. Like we're all, we're both graduating. Everyone's like, hey, what do you want to do? What do you want to be when you grow up? Everyone asks you that, and it's always a tough question for me to answer. And I feel like the best answer that I have right now is I've always said what I want to do is I want to do something where I feel like I'm making an impact, and I'm doing something where I feel like I'm benefiting the team that I'm on, and I'm benefiting the community that I'm in. And I really feel like I have found that at Zion. And while I don't know exactly what role I want to be in 10 years, I do want to continue to feel like I'm able to be a part of this team and be a part of, something almost bigger than myself that's able to create, memorable experiences, not to use our tagline in a cliche way, but to really feel like I am sort of driving the team forward and helping out, right, and making a difference. So
yeah, and especially, and it's not like the question isn't saying, no, you have to be in Zion and anything like that. It's understanding, hey, what do you want to do? I think a lot of people change, especially out of college. I know several people that graduated, they got in their role 6 months later. Hey, I hate this, and they want to go somewhere else. And I think that's the great thing about Zion is we have so many different areas that you can adapt to. And so, if you don't like what you're doing, you approach, the founders, they're not some scary figure you can approach. And so approach them like, hey, I don't like this. Can I get something else? So
yeah,
and they'll work with you to get somewhere.
Yeah, I was going to echo a lot of what you said. Actually, in the previous question, where I'm hoping to be in 3 years is just more educated. Like I'm hoping in these first 3 years after my post-grad life, I just keep growing and learning and developing. Like I feel like this is a really big growth stage for people our age, especially coming out of college. Like it's a big change from college to a full-time position. So I'm just really hoping to learn a lot, grow a lot, and then hopefully find in 3 years that place where I do belong and where I feel like I am benefiting my team and where I feel comfortable and know a lot and am excited about what I'm doing and what I'm learning. So
it was definitely something we almost skipped over the last question you asked. What are you excited for? What are you nervous about? We didn't really touch on the what are you nervous about. I think there's a lot there's a lot that's intimidating about graduation, right? Like you've had this life for 4 years that, you've sort of poured everything into. It's like, I got this, this finance test that that everything hinges on it. You feel like the whole world is, my finance final, right? Like I got to get an A, or, I have this practice, I have this group meeting, I have this group project I have to meet with, right? And so it's all of these things that's sort of what your life centers around is school and everything. So not having that it's exciting. It's exciting to get to step into a new life, if you will, a new position, but it's nerve-wracking to know that there's that much change, right? Like change is nerve-wracking. So to not feel like, you don't really know what you're going to be doing every day. You sort of have to be adaptable, right? Ready to change. So
Yeah. Something I was going to say too is like, I feel like our whole lives up until this point, we've kind of been like growing upon things. So like you're in high school and you're in like middle school and you're like, all right, I just got to get to high school.
Yeah.
All right, I'm in high school. Now I just got to get to college. All right, I'm in college. Now I just have to get a job. And then it's like after that step, you're in that job for the next 30, 40, 50 years of your life.
And it can change
can change so much. So I think that's something that's.
Yeah, I think you made a great point with, graduating. In school is so much. I remember in school, it's like, I would freak out about that. And now there's still stuff that I, get not nervous and, not nervous about, but there's stuff that like, I'm like, okay, I got to get this done, and it has that, I don't know, not life or death feeling to it, but you have to get it right kind of thing. And you get that out of college, but also like school, I feel like when you're in college is like, it's 100% because it doesn't matter where you go, it's following you, and you have 6 different classes and all this other stuff. Well, with the work, it's like you still have that work-life balance. So you can establish yourself in work and establish your job, but then you also, have your life outside of work. And so it's like, I think that's one of the hardest parts that I struggled with, going full time was, hey, work was pretty easy to establish myself, my work-life balance. But then it's like, now I have all this time. What do I do? And so it's like, for you, it's probably golfing, it's just like, so figuring out what do I want to do in my free time because you have more free time. And so it's cool to, experience that and just kind of figure out what's going on, You have more bills, stuff like that. That was the craziest thing for me was setting up bill pays and all this other stuff. And so it's a big experience, big change.
I was going to say that, bills are scary. We want to talk about something that's nerve-wracking.
It was an experience. And then my, car gave out, 6 months in. And so it's like I'm buying a truck and now I have a car payment and a car insurance. And it's,
But it is a cool truck.
It is a cool truck, but it's a cool experience. And I'm excited for y'all to experience it for the first time, I guess you talked about learning. I guess can y'all choose like one thing in our industry or something that you want to learn about like what we do out of college, Like what's one thing like for me, like I'm trying to learn about software, because like it's something that I'm still trying to learn about. It's something I'm not an expert in. And so it's something I'm still trying to learn and watch and, learn from other people on the team. Justin, Scott, they know a lot about it. So how do I learn about that? I guess, can you pick one thing that you're like, I want to learn more about that?
I think for me, it would maybe be robotics, like what you do and do a lot with. I just find that really interesting. This past semester, I took an IT infrastructure course for my MIS major. And we talked a lot about edge computing. We talked a lot about digital twins and like all of that new and emerging technology that I think is going to play a really big role in the future of supply chain and kind of the direction of with automation that we're heading in. So I think that's definitely something I kind of want to be ahead of the curve on. And especially like in this position, in this job that I do, that's definitely something I want to learn about.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think for me, what's really exciting, I want to learn more sort of what Jordan does, right? Like in the sales solutions sense. Growing up, my dad's been in sales my whole life. So it's sort of something that I've grown up around. I know, vaguely what he does, but more so specifically in our industry, in the supply chain industry, what does solution sales look like, right? I want to learn more about, the products that we do offer, the things that we can provide customers and partners with, but how do we go about creating recommendations, right? How do we go about solving the problems? That's one of my favorite things about supply chain and the supply chain majors. I feel like every day is something different and it's always a puzzle. And I love that aspect of trying to solve the puzzle. And so getting to learn more about, what he does on a day-to-day basis, something like that. So maybe, I guess to sort of tie it back into your goals question, maybe that's in 5-10 years, maybe that's somewhere I can be, something that I can be doing. But that's something that I want to learn more about is how do you go about working with customers and partners like that, making sure that, their needs are met but by providing good solutions that'll last them a long time, because you don't just want to say, oh, this is a Band-Aid fix, right?
Yeah.
And then that doesn't help anyone. And then, in 6 months, they're looking for another solution. So trying to solve that puzzle is what I find exciting. So learning more about how to do that and how to do it the right way and do it the most efficient way.
Yeah, and I think everyone on the team, if you ask anyone on the team, everyone has their thing they're learning. I think sometimes we're in meetings, engineering calls, and someone's like, well, I learned this today, and so even people that have been in the industry 30 years are still learning stuff. And so it's really cool experience to, work with long people that are still learning with you. And so it's a good time. I guess to kind of start wrapping up, what's some questions I guess you have for me about Zion, or the transition from college to full-time, stuff like that?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask, I almost cut you off before this last question. I was going to say, what advice do you have for us making that transition? You're a year ahead of us in that, you worked for Zion in school as an intern, you stayed on full-time. What has that transition been like for you, and what advice do you have to, I guess, make the most of it for the two of us?
Yeah, I would say as a joke, but not a joke, is to organize your email. Figure out how you're going to do it very early on, because the amount of hours that I've spent organizing it, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't work, so I got to reorganize it and stuff like that, of course. But on the more serious side, I would say be curious. I think that's one thing that really helped me very early on, is because I was a supply chain major. I wasn't a robotics engineer, and so being curious, asking questions, going to trainings and figuring out, there's so many webinars and stuff like that, or like we use a lot of HiCAD, we use a lot of conveyor, there's webinars about that, going to learn more, asking questions. There's so many people on our team. We have over, the amount of hours that we have in this industry, days, weeks, years, is insane. And so being able to ask these people questions, I know sometimes I'll text Justin and be like, hey, what's this? I don't know what this means. And so be curious, ask questions, and just, if it's something you want to learn about, it's something you don't know, you'll learn about it. It's something that you're always going to be learning, and never stop being curious, never stop learning is the biggest thing, which talking to both of you are going to be curious and ask questions. So.
I feel like it's good advice, though. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. What would you say is the most startling or unexpected part of becoming a full-time employee post-graduation? College.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say it's anything with the job as much. It's more of like we were saying, finances and stuff. It's such a of course I worked throughout college and stuff like that, and my parents of course helped me with stuff. But then coming out of college, it's now all that stuff's on you. It's just setting up your medical insurance. Okay, how do I get car insurance? Oh, home insurance. Okay, now I got to start saving for a house. And it's all these different things, and it's I remember my first 6 months, I did not hold myself to a budget, and so wasn't the best idea. And so I guess that was the most starting thing, is learning, hey, I probably need to have a budget if I want to, I'm going to be in this for a long time. Then setting up a 401k, and so all those different things. And of course, the team, like Kathy and them, are great with, guiding you through all those different processes. But that was probably the most startling thing, is just because in college, you worry about money, but most of the money's worried about, do I have to eat canes tonight or do I eat ramen tonight? Right. So it's that kind of money. It's not all right, I got a car payment due tomorrow, stuff like that. And so I think that was the most startling thing, is just figuring out how to be an adult, I had roommates all throughout college, and now I live alone. So figuring that out, it's no one's taking all the trash except you,
Right.
So it's
the dirty dishes in the sink are your fault.
Yeah, so there's no blaming it on someone else. You're all right, Jacob, that's your fault. So it's and I remember when I traveled, one time I traveled for 2 weeks, and so it was and I left some fruit, on my counter, and I get back and I'm well, that bowl's destroyed, and I was I'm not even gonna clean it, and so I just tossed everything,
That's funny.
But yeah, I think that's the big thing, is just learning how to be an adult. It's daunting, but it's exciting. So
yeah,
that is cool. I know we're sort of wrapping up here, but something that on the behind the scenes podcast side that we wanted to start doing with all of our guests is asking just more of a personal, fun question, just to get to know the podcast guests every day. So one one question that we've been asking is, if you were to win the lottery, where are you going on vacation? So, you wake up tomorrow, bank account's full, money's no object anymore. Where are we going on vacation? We can all sort of go around and answer that question quick.
Yeah.
Then we'll
You
find
wanna
out.
start?
Oh my gosh,
No?
Mister. Okay. I kind of have two. I feel like I've been seeing everyone on Instagram recently posting about being in Morocco. And like
Wow.
in this the Sahara Desert, riding camels, doing like hot air balloon rides, like
It's a pretty cool trip.
yeah, it's a pretty cool trip. So maybe there, or I really want to go to Thailand and see elephants and experience the culture there because I've never been. I've been to Europe a few times. I've never been to Asia, so I'm gonna try and get over there.
For me, probably not an unexpected answer, but I would definitely have to go on a golf trip. For the listeners that don't know, I am a huge golfer. I love playing golf. So,
Isn't there like a place in like the Middle East or something that has like, I don't know, it's like 27 golf courses in a row?
I don't, but that sounds awesome. I feel like that's something I should know about.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up and see. But
I
it's
think
like,
somewhere in Dubai has like golf courses on like the roof, like rooftops of buildings, or maybe it's like mini golf courses. I don't really know, but I've heard they're on
No,
skyscrapers.
That's pretty cool. I was gonna say I want to go out west to Oregon to Bandon Dunes, the resort they have out there. There's like 5 or 6 different courses that all look super cool. So very different from Georgia golf and the Florida golf that I've played growing up. So totally different atmosphere. So I think it'd be fun.
I'm going Tokyo, Japan, or Japan in general. But I love Tokyo. I've like studied the culture. I love it so much, And then a lot of people don't know this, but I'm a big nerd, and so like I collect Pokemon cards, and so going out there, experience that aspect of it all, it would be really exciting. So I think that Tokyo for sure.
That'd be a fun trip. I feel like there's so many places that I would want to go see. It's hard to limit it to just one vacation. If you win the lottery, you probably
I'm
have
taking
to
them
go
all
on.
together.
Yeah, you
That's
probably
just the
have to go
first
on
of many.
multiple
Yeah.
vacations, but
Italy next year.
yeah, a lot of things to see.
Might open a vineyard out there, make wine on the
Just for fun.
Italian hills.
Side
Yeah,
hustle.
well, I'll come hang out at your vineyard. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad we got to do this today. That
Yeah.
was a fun episode.
Awesome. Well, thanks guys for tuning in to episode 25. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And we'll be back with the next episode.